Business Bites with Invest Northern Ireland. Go further and grow stronger with Invest NI. Visit investni.com/export to reach your exporting potential. Invest NI. Go further and grow stronger.
Hi, and welcome to another edition of Business Bites from Bauer Media Audio, Northern Ireland. My name is David Tighe, the Managing Director of Bauer Media here in our part of the world. And it's great this week that we're welcoming our guest, Clare Murray, who's the Director of Mortgage Solutions, Belfast. Clare, welcome to Business Bites.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Well, it's great to have you. We've only got 10 minutes, so we love to get straight into the conversation.
Right.
Clare, your business started back in 2010, and it kind of started from the troubles of that financial period. Tell us a little bit about it.
Well, I was made redundant in 2008, and at that point, pretty much every financial institution did not want to employ anyone in the mortgage or the financial services world. So my only option was to set up on my own and employ myself. And I started in 2010 and just built the business up from scratch, based on reputation and getting a name out there for myself. And I'm now trading 12 years.
Well, it's a great story, and I suppose there's a lesson to be learned there from anyone who might be struggling in their current position, that taking charge of your own situation, whilst not easy at times, has led you, as an example, to where you are today. So let's just talk about Mortgage Solutions Belfast. Give us a little bit of background into the growth of the business over the years, with the ups and downs, trials and tribulations, and the good things.
Oh my goodness! It's in a business. It's just such a journey involved. So you're constantly looking ways to grow, change, and adapt. I think anybody in business, I would even say, just particularly with COVID and the pandemic, even how that impacted on how people work and the ways people work, and getting used to furlough schemes, and you're just always, it's a continuous change all the time, and you have to keep moving and adapting with that to keep with the times. So it's always challenging, but I've built the business up, and I've become the top female in Northern Ireland now, which is a good achievement. So yeah, it's just become something that you just keep working at it and build up a good team around you. And I think the business is not the business without the people that I work around. I've got a great team here, so fully qualified, well experienced, and all of that blends together to keep things moving in the right direction.
Well, I couldn't agree with you more. I think if you haven't got the people, then you can't do what you need to do. Now, it's a very, very hot topic right now, your business, and you're
Yes.
part of the world.
Uh-huh.
So talk to us about mortgages. So everyone's sitting here going, what on earth is going to happen in 2023? So first of all, the dynamic of mortgage rates this year.
Okay.
Where's your head at with all of that?
Well, obviously we had the Liz Truss effect last year, which just sent everything into a spiral of uncertainty, and everything just went crazy. So we were seeing rates hitting 6%. By the time Richie Sunak got in with his version, I think by then the banks were done. They were just, nobody knew what to be choosing or deciding. And I think they'd reached their target. So banks generally left the rates high and thought, we'll deal with that in January. So from December to January, the actual mortgage rates have come down typically by 1%. So if you're looking at the lowest rate on the market, you're getting a variable at 2.88, and you can get a fixed round about 4.4-ish is a typical fixed rate that's out there. So the rates have improved. The confusion comes about whenever people talk about the Bank of England rate, because the Bank of England rate has rose, and that's sitting at 3.5%. And of course, then the next conversation is the Bank of England might go up again in the near future. There's talk it might rise up to about 4%. But what the Bank of England's doing and what the mortgage rates are doing are two slightly different things at the moment, because the banks are getting competitive again. And we're seeing some good rates out there. So I think it's obviously not as good as they were maybe this time last year, but certainly better than December.
And with people who are considering buying houses right now, you often get people saying, oh, there's not a lot of stuff on the market in January and February. It's all very quiet. That's a good time to buy. And then you also get people saying, well, because there's not enough on the market, that's not a great time to buy. So, I mean, if someone's sitting there thinking about buying a house now, in your experience, is there ever a good or a bad time to buy, or should you just get on with it?
Well, obviously 2006 probably wasn't a good time to buy, but we only know that with hindsight. So, but at the moment, it comes down to supply and demand. There is plenty of demand out there and very little supply. So when you have situations like that, it pushes prices up. So I'm still, no matter where I have somebody bidding at the moment in North Belfast, and there's three bidding, and the bidding's gone up, and that's typical no matter where you seem to look at the moment. People are still buying houses, people need somewhere to live. And more importantly, the rents are so high that the idea of renting a house, we were doing a comparison in Lisburn. To rent was 900 a month, to take the mortgage on the same house was 600 a month. So if you can buy a house £300 less, I mean that's a massive difference. So for me, it's like, why rent when you can buy, and that's what a lot of customers are thinking like.
I suppose ultimately it's down to what can you afford? What can you afford to do?
Yeah,
Uh,
and there's plenty of options out there. The banks are still doing the same things they've done before, 4.5 times income, some up to 5 times income. So that'll be your gross annual salary times it by 4.5, and that's typically, loosely, what you can actually borrow up to, and then add your deposit onto it. So there's plenty of affordable housing. Northern Ireland never really recovered in the same way as the rest of the UK when it came to where prices fell to. So when you look back, we always talk about the peak prices of 2007. So I know it's a long time ago now, but those peak prices is something we've never managed to get back to. Now they haven't got the latest stats for this year, but I would say we're still about 20% below those peak prices of 2007. But the rest of the UK on average is 42% above peak prices. The UK took off very quickly after and recovered quicker. Wales, Scotland, they're probably about 30% above peak prices at least. So London's 70% above. So everywhere else recovered and prices went up and everything changed for the rest of the UK. But Northern Ireland, we've been very slow and very cautious. So we're still below peak prices of 2007. So I think we're in a good place. I don't think there's any concerns with the housing market slipping back in some way. I think we've catching up to do for the rest of the UK.
well, it's a great overview. Now, what about this thing called inflation? Is that going to make any difference? So we've just about got over the sort of the mortgage bouncing around just before Christmas. Now we're talking about inflation. How does that affect mortgages?
Well, the worst time for inflation was back in November, when it peaked at over 11%. It's been falling back slowly. It's got a bit of a journey to go on. I would say inflation, I don't think we've got the latest figures yet, but something like 9.5, something like that. I think is where we're sitting at with inflation at the moment. We're starting to see forecasts that by the end of this year, they're expecting inflation to be down to be like between 3 and 4%. So the target is to be 2%. If we get by the end of this year down to 3 or 4%, that we've come a long journey, but we've come far and quickly as well. So I think inflation, it's on its way down. Energy prices are starting to show signs of dropping, so that's really going to help things. So yeah, I think inflation will start to fall. We'll see signs of that as the year progresses. Obviously, they push the Bank of England rate up in order to make inflation go down, and then that can push us into recession. And then when we go into recession, they like to bring the Bank of England rate down to cope with that. So there's conflict going on. And I know the Bank of England committee are meeting on Thursday to discuss all what they're, and I think they're starting to get a bit split on what's the best way to go here, because the more you push interest rates up, the more likely we're going to go into recession.
Well, it's I'm glad you've made sense of all of that for me. I appreciate that. Thank you. It's a lot clearer now. What I was going to say is, you obviously mentioned the fact that you've, we know that you're a female leading a business. Have you got any advice for females in business? Because, it's a fantastic result for you that you've led this successful business for over a decade now. So if there are any young females thinking about becoming entrepreneurs or following their dreams, what advice would you have for them?
I think the biggest thing is believing in yourself and don't let people put doubt in your head. If you feel, quite often if you're going to start a business, you know your stuff and you know what you're doing and you have confidence in your ability. So sometimes you can listen too much to other people and let them knock your confidence a wee bit. So my advice is just believe in yourself and just go for it. You've only got one chance, so make it work.
Well, Claire, it's been absolutely fantastic talking with you today. Thank you for sharing the information about your business and your journey. And we wish you many, many happy long days with your calculator working out interest rates. People.
Thank you very much. Nice to see you, David.
Great. Thanks for being our guest this week.
Cheers.
Business Bites with Invest Northern Ireland. Go further and grow stronger with Invest NI. Visit investni.com/export to reach your exporting potential. Invest NI. Go further and grow stronger.